It's never too late to enter the finance niche. Check out this channel called Explains 101 that is creating videos in this very niche and raking in some incredible numbers. If you take a closer look at the channel, you'll notice that they posted their first video just 10 months ago, but have managed to rake in more than 120,000 subscribers within this time frame. What's even more interesting is the numbers on a bunch of their videos that are bringing in hundreds of thousands of views. Even their most recent videos are racking up these incredible numbers. If you're curious about exactly what the channel is doing, they're simply taking financial topics and explaining them in simple terms that even my 8-year-old niece can understand. And this is somehow resonating with their audience, pulling in these incredible numbers for the channel. But that isn't even the best part. The financial niche has some of the highest RPMs all over YouTube, and the content is also evergreen. This means channels like these will continue to cash in years after uploading their videos. So if you're thinking of starting a faceless channel, this might just be the gold mine you've been looking for. This kind of content is highly monetizable, and the videos can be created using completely free AI tools. If you're curious about monetization, simply install a tool like Nextlev from the Chrome store. Then refresh the page and you should see the monetization status. But these tools aren't always right as YouTube keeps changing their system, so you may need a second one to confirm monetization. You can either use YouTube Monetization Checker or YT Large. If you've installed YouTube Monetization Checker, go to the extensions bar and check monetization by hitting these buttons. As you can see, this tool also confirms that the channel is fully monetized. Now that concerns about monetization are out of the way, the next thing you might be worried about might be content. However, the best part about this niche is that you don't need to be a finance expert or have some god-tier level editing skills. It's actually quite simple, and I'm going to carry you through the entire process of creating such videos. From coming up with topics to actually creating engaging scripts like the ones this channel is creating. Then we'll look at how you can generate the voiceover before I show you all the tricks you need to easily edit these videos. Finally, we'll end the video with a short course on creating thumbnails for this niche. To make things easier, I've created detailed prompts that you can use not only for the topics, but for the script as well as the images. Additionally, I'm also going to put the most commonly used image resources inside a folder that you can download. I'll leave the prompts in a Google Doc, which you can find in the prompts channel of my Discord server. Just look for the title Explains 101 and the link will be attached to the card. The link to the images will also be available in this files channel by the same name. And hey, if you find this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps me out and keeps me motivated to keep dropping more tutorials like this. To give you a quick glimpse of what we're about to create in this video, check out this short demo I made using the exact same strategy I'm about to walk you through.
Hey there! Did you know the US owes more than $34 trillion and still manages to borrow more every year? If you or I owed that much, we'd be hiding under a blanket, dodging calls from unknown number, and Googling how to fake your own disappearance. But countries, they just keep going. No panic, no collections, no repo man showing up to take back the Grand Canyon. Which brings us to the big weird question.
The first step is to come up with topics. And like I said, you don't need to be an expert on finance to create these videos. You can look at trending topics from others in the finance niche and create videos around them. Or simply open the Google Doc I mentioned earlier and look for this heading. Copy everything under it and head over to your preferred text generator. I typically recommend using either DeepSeek, Qwen, or ChatGPT if you have their Plus subscription. I'm going to use ChatGPT for this video, so open your text generator and paste the prompt that you just copied. You don't need to change much here. The only thing you need to do is specify the number of topics that you want the AI to generate for you. Choose as many as you want. In this case, I'll go with 20 and hit enter. As you can see, ChatGPT has generated some interesting topics, so you can look through and choose what you want or even regenerate for a fresh batch. Once you're done with the topics, it's time to generate the script. So head back to the Google Doc and look for this heading. One important thing you should keep in mind is that the prompts for the script are divided into two, with each part having a word count ranging from 800 to 1000. This is the typical duration for the channel we're modeling, but you can increase or decrease these numbers to generate shorter or longer scripts. We'll come back for the second script, but first you need to copy this first prompt and paste it inside ChatGPT. Make sure you've got the topic that you selected ready and replace this placeholder with it. Then you can scroll down and change the word count for the first part, or simply leave it like this. Once you're done, hit enter and wait for ChatGPT to generate the first part of your script. This looks great, so feel free to go back to the Google Doc and copy the second prompt. Make sure you're on the same chat and paste the second part of the prompt. Unless you want to increase or decrease the word count for the narration, there's no need to make any changes to this prompt. Simply hit enter and wait for ChatGPT to continue with the remaining half of your script. Once that is done, you can go through the full script to make sure there are no issues and then move on to creating your voiceover narration. For that, I recommend using 11 Labs if you've got a budget. But if you want a free alternative, I recommend Clipchamp mostly because of the quality of their voices. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using 11 Labs. The first thing you need to do is to find a voice character. So head over to their voice library and browse through the available voices till you find whatever voice you prefer. To make things easier, you can use the filters. Just make sure you select your preferred language, in this case English, choose an American accent, set the gender to male, and select the age range for the voice you want to use. You don't need to worry much about the age for this niche, so feel free to choose any. I'll go for a young voice. Listen to a few samples until you find one that works for you and choose that. Now paste the narration and hit generate. If it doesn't sound good enough, you can make changes to the settings till you find what you like. With the narration complete, it's time to move on to the next step. Normally, we'd create image prompts that can be used to generate images for the script, but we'll do things differently for this niche by jumping straight into video editing. So go ahead and open your preferred video editor, in this case CapCut. Now the first thing you need to do is to import the voiceover. The channel we're modeling uses this stick figure character to represent people in all their narrations, so we'll be using that. Unfortunately, we can't generate the exact same character with AI, but don't worry, as I've made a few different color versions of the character available in the resource folder I mentioned earlier. You don't need to edit or make any changes to the characters. Simply download and import them inside CapCut. You're not going to add them to the timeline just yet. First, you need to add the narration and remove any long pauses. Don't forget to keep playing the narration to ensure that you're removing just enough for the narration to still flow normally. If you're using a video editor like Premiere Pro, you can simplify this with just a few clicks. But as far as I know, my current version of CapCut doesn't have that feature, so it has to be done manually. Once you're done with that, the next step is to add a white background. You can create one yourself or simply download it from any stock image website like Vecteezy. Another option is to make sure you're on import. Go to stock material and look through the list till you find this white background. Then grab and drop it inside the timeline. Don't forget to change the aspect ratio of your project to 16:9. Now it's time to add your images. The first statement in these videos is, "Hey there." You need something simple for that part. Drag and drop one of these character images in the timeline. Scale it down and position it like this. The size of the character mostly depends on your personal preference. Then go to text and drag the default one above the image layer. Replace the default text to the text at the start and change the color to black. Keep this process in mind as most of your videos will start like this. So you'll need to repeat this for every single video. You can choose whichever font you want, but the default one works perfectly, so you can stick with that one and move the text here. Feel free to scale it up or down. This all depends on your personal preference, but once you're done, you need to trim the image and text layers to match up with the end of that narration. The next part of this narration talks about a country, the United States to be specific. The channel we're modeling typically uses country balls to represent countries, so we need to create one. This part is very important as you'll be using country balls a lot for this particular niche. But you don't need to worry, as I've created a simple prompt that will help you create a ball for any country you want. Just go back to the Google Doc and look for this prompt. Copy it and open ChatGPT. Then paste the prompt and change these three placeholders to the name of the country that you want to create the country ball for. Once that's done, you don't need to change anything else. Just hit enter and wait for ChatGPT to generate a simple prompt that you can use to generate the image. The next part depends on your personal preference, so feel free to use Leonardo AI or pick Lumen. Google's ImageFX works perfectly and is also free to use, so I'll open it and paste the prompt that ChatGPT just generated. For country balls, you don't need to worry much about the aspect ratio. The square one works perfectly, so I'll select that one and hit create. It doesn't take long, but check out these images. They look great, so you can download whichever one you prefer. You can repeat this for any other country that you want to create a ball for. Simply replace the placeholders with the name of the country, and ChatGPT will give you a detailed prompt that you can use to create the image. One important thing you need to keep in mind is that the prompt is created to add an iconic trait of that particular country. In the case of Canada, it's a red knit cap. Let's try generating this with ImageFX. The image comes out correctly with the knit cap. If you'd rather remove it, simply delete this part from the prompt, and as you can see, the image no longer has the iconic cap. The same process applies to every other country you'll be using. One other thing you need to keep in mind is that the images come with a white background. You can simply remove this with a tool like Adobe Background Remover, which does a pretty great job clearing backgrounds for these images. But this is unnecessary most of the time since this white background blends in with the background of the entire project. The only time you'd need to remove the background from these images will be if you're arranging the character in front of another character. I've imported two images of the US country ball. One has no background, but the other has a white background. As you can see, the one with the white background still blends in perfectly with the background of the project. Now you need to go through the story narration and add the appropriate images. Where you need to add people, use these character images that I've provided. In places where you need other forms of images to better illustrate your point, you can go about it in two ways. First is to grab this prompt from the Google Doc, paste it inside ImageFX, and replace this placeholder with exactly what you want to create. Choose the square aspect ratio and generate the image. The second way is to download the image from a stock image site like Vecteezy. Simply choose PNG, search for the image you want, and download. Then add it to your timeline, scale and position it according to the flow of your narration. Add text to your narration to emphasize statements. Keep in mind that it doesn't need to be the exact wording from the narration. This is where you can add a bit of humor to make the whole narration more interesting. You can always download or generate any objects that you need, like this crushed can, to make the narration more exciting. In case there's something in an image you want to get rid of, you can also trim it like this. Keep repeating this process for the remainder of your narration. In situations where you want the characters to look like they're sweating, you can download these teardrops, or better yet, generate them yourself. Add them to your timeline, scale and position them where you want. You can duplicate it as much as you want and reposition each teardrop. The whole process is just this simple. As you can see, I'm generating most of the images that I'm using in this demonstration. Keep playing the narration and adding your images like this for the rest of your video. In places where you need to add something like a hand asking for something, you don't need to modify the character. Simply add the image of the arm like this. It doesn't need to blend in. What matters is that it conveys the idea in an interesting and simple way to viewers. You can add transitions to the video, but it's not necessary. But if you decide to do that, make sure you only go for simple transitions like mix or black fade. The same applies to filters. You can add one, but it's not necessary, so I recommend skipping that part. Keep in mind that for places where the narration includes some kind of financial data, you'll need to search on Google for that specific information. Make sure whichever website you select is trusted, and then screenshot the graph, chart, or table that includes the information you need. You can even grab screenshots from different websites. Then import the screenshot and scale it down to fit. Next, add a text layer for the source of information. For this one, I took it from US Treasury, so I'll include that, position it below the image, and scale it down. You can even grab the logo for that particular website, use the crop to remove any text, leaving only the logo, and position the logo at the right side of that particular image. You can add multiple charts or graphs on the same page. Just make sure you include the sources under each illustration. One more thing. You need to add a text at the bottom right corner specifying the year that the data is from. The video is almost done, but in case you want to add accessories like a tie to signify a business or government person, or pixel glasses for someone trendy, you can simply drop them inside the timeline, scale and position it where you want. The final step before we export the video is to add a background music. You can grab something from YouTube Audio Library, or look through a platform like Showsick for any royalty-free track that fits the mood of your video. Then add it to the timeline and decrease the volume significantly. The most important part of this niche is the information being understandable, so the background music needs to be almost inaudible. Don't forget to trim any excess before you proceed with exporting the video at either 1080p, 2 or 4K resolution. The final step is to create a thumbnail for this video. This is quite straightforward. First, you need to go to your preferred text editor. Photoshop, Canva, or even GIMP will do just fine. I'll be using Photopea since it's easily available online. Create a new 2560 by 1440 aspect ratio document. Then add your character, position, and scale it to something like this. The character is looking the other way, so I'll flip it like this. First left-click on these pointers at the edges of the image, and then right-click the image. Select Flip Horizontal, and the image should look the right direction now. For this particular thumbnail, I'll add a tie to give the character a formal look. I'll position, flip, and resize it. We need the tie to stand out with a different color. So with the layer for the tie selected, add a hue saturation and make sure Colorize is checked. Then play around with the sliders till you find a color that you want for the tie. Don't worry about the character also having the same color for now. We'll fix that easily. Now when you look at the layers, you'll notice that there's a new layer right above the layer for the tie. So right-click that and select Clipping Mask. This makes it so that the hue saturation only affects the tie. Now I'm just going to bring in other images that can help better convey the topic of the video, like this image of a sack with debt on it. It has a white background which is covering part of our character, so we need to get rid of the background. First, right-click the layer for that image and choose Rasterize. Then select the Magic Wand tool and click the white background for that image. Hit Delete, and as you can see, the background is gone and the character is now visible. I'll bring in any other images that I want to add. This one looks a bit too light, so I'll add a curve to make it darker. Then I'll create a clipping mask to apply the effect to that image alone. Feel free to add any other images you need to better present the idea of the topic. In this case, we have an official, buildings on fire, debt, and IMF building. I think this works, so select the rectangle, make sure the fill is empty, and set the stroke to your preferred color. Then use this slider to increase the size of the stroke and draw a rectangle around the canvas. Finally, add a text and select parts of the text that you want to stand out and change the color like this. Feel free to make any additional changes, but once you're done, export the image as either a PNG or JPEG file. Now, if you found this niche interesting and want some other similarly trending and exciting niches, then you should check out this playlist I've put together for you.